You're about to witness the strength of Mr. B, MVP.
Oh shit, it's about to get real up in this bitch.
Hey up folks, it's Mr. B, YouTube's MVP and greatest Twitch streamer in the world. And I'm here today to bring you my most anticipated and requested review of all time. The Final Fantasy VII Remake review. Straight off the bat, I'm going to tell you that this game is well worth its money and a game you will not regret paying full price for. Is it perfect? Not on your Nelly, but it is a good 7 out of 10 for me. Now that you know that, you can either give this video a like, sub to the channel, be on your way as you happily download or make a purchase over when we do get out of COVID. But are we still purchasing stuff? You know what I mean, just go purchase the game. Or you can stick around and listen to see how I came to my conclusion. Without any further ado and all the bullshit to one side, I proudly present to you my non-spoiler review of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now normally I split my review up into good, bad and ugly, but, and it's a capital but with a capital B, today I'm unveiling my whole new format, starting with the verdict in the first 2 minutes. From this point forth, I split my reviews up into 4 sections that matter most to us gamers: graphics and sound, gameplay, fun factor, and value. If you find yourself with the urge to tell me how you feel about this format, get into the comment section and let me know. Your feedback means everything to me and I do read the comments, and sometimes I actually do respond to them as well. With that being said, let's get this shit started, shall we? Okay, so first up is graphics and sound. Now, the graphics for me, I've never come across anything like it. It's a bit like being on a first date. At first, everything looks beautiful. You sit there in Midgar and you look up and you go, whoa, that looks amazing. And you look at the light and all that and you think that is just beautiful. But as your courtship goes on with the game, just like a real life courtship, you start noticing little problems, little cut corners, bad textures. I mean, some of the textures are awful, truly awful. And you can tell that they put so much effort into the graphics in some areas, but then with the rest it's sort of in a that'll do attitude. There's one thing I've noticed throughout the whole game. There isn't one bloody circle in the whole game. Forklift truck wheels are like hexagons. There isn't one circle. You look at any place where it should be a circle, car wheels, you name it, none of it is circles. When you look at it properly, it's all angled. Now that could be like a little Easter egg back to Final Fantasy VII, because that's all done with polygons and things like that. There was no such thing as a circle back then. So it could be just an Easter egg to that, but to me, there isn't one circle rendered in this whole bloody game, and it drives me up the wall. But that's just me being obvious. That's just me being pedantic. I get it. Circles are circles. The main character models are fantastic. Like really, really well done. Barrett looks amazing. Wedge looks brilliant. Cloud, fantastic. Tifa, obviously, everybody loves Tifa. But at the end of the day, they've really put some serious effort into the character models, apart from the NPC ones. Whereas the main character models look beautiful and shiny and brand new and look absolutely amazing. The NPC models, again, are done with that sort of that'll do mentality. They almost sort of look like, I don't know, if I was to draw a picture of what you would look like, it'd sort of almost look like you, but not you, if that makes sense. It would probably be a circle with a few smiley faces, but still, you get my point. It wouldn't quite be you. And it's the same with the NPC models in the game. The NPC models just don't look right. It's almost as if they've put that much effort into the lighting and most of the graphics and the areas and stuff that there wasn't much more room as far as rendering and all that sort of thing for proper character models as far as the NPCs are concerned. And that's a letdown for me a bit. And just to clarify what I mean by NPCs, I'm talking about like the town folk, Not like the big baddies or the bosses or anything like that. Just like when you're going through Midgar, you see the average people on the street. They're the ones I'm talking about. But here's the thing. It's not entirely a bad thing, because although the character models aren't the best, what they do in the town is brilliant. Because at the end of the day, the actual city models, they feel really claustrophobic. And it's the NPCs and the way they react inside in the cities themselves that actually help make the cities feel alive. And graphically, there's no better compliment. When you can make a city feel alive, and they're not complete, they are sort of explorable, it's not like a fully open world, it's sort of like open world light, but they are kind of explorable. And when you are just having a look around, the world feels alive. And when a world feels alive, it's the best compliment you can give to any graphical team. It's same with Red Dead Redemption 2. You look at that, you go into the forest in Red Dead Redemption 2, you feel the forest is alive with animals, and you see the grass movement and the trees blowing, and you actually feel like you're in a forest. In Final Fantasy VII, when you are in one of the towns, obviously I don't want to give away spoilers, so I'm not going to give away names. When you are in one of the towns, you feel like you're in one of those towns, because it's graphically, aesthetically pleasing and done right. So as far as graphics is concerned, yes, it has its issues, no bloody circles, for God's sake, and yes, there are some bad textures, but overall, it's 3/4 of the way to perfect. And that now leads me on to the sound. Because it's alright having a city that looks perfect, sound is just as important. And I've got to tell you here, the sounds are spot on. The ambient feel, the ambient sounds you get from any of the locations. You could be walking through, like trying to get through one of the little gates, something. You can hear the NPCs having proper conversations with each other, having arguments or flirting or something. There's always something going on. You can hear the little creatures groaning in the background from a distance. The sound for any of the cities and any of the locations is perfect, is damn near perfect. And another thing that's perfect is the voice acting. Barrett, for me, is top dog. 100%. It's exactly, in fact, when I obviously know of the original, I never played it, but I know of the original Final Fantasy VII, and obviously I am aware of Barrett's character model from Final Fantasy VII. If I was to think in my head what Barrett would have sounded like before I heard this, it would have sounded exactly the same. He sounds like Mr. T on crack. He's perfect. I mean, he's over the top, he's excitable, but the sound, the way the actor delivers the lines, perfect, 100%. And it's the same goes to the other ones. I mean, the dialogue, yes, is a bit, let's say, sexist and immature, well, most of the time, but that is what it is. I find that stuff sort of immaturely funny. But the Tifa's voice, Cloud's voice, Barrett's voice, Wedge. I'm bloody certain Wedge is that dude off Breaking Bad. Jesse Pinkman's friend. I'm bloody certain it sounds exactly the bigger dude, not skinny, but the bigger dude. It sounds exactly the same, but it's. They all do a fantastic job of voice acting, and for me, that is it. There's certain boxes when I judge games, and voice acting is always and always will be one of them, because if the voice acting isn't right and the ambience isn't right, the sound isn't right, it breaks immersion, and there's no two ways about that. This game has got sound absolutely and truly nailed down. Now let's talk about some gameplay. What's the gameplay like? Well, I'd be a fool not to start with the combat system. The combat system is a hybrid between turn-based and real-time. It's easy to learn, that's for one thing. It'll take the average skilled player roughly about an hour to get fully conversed with it. It's simple enough to learn. It's square to attack, triangle to alter the type of attack, because for instance Cloud has his usual swings, and if you press triangle it puts him into operator mode, which is more powerful hits, so on and so forth. Then obviously switching between characters is up and down. You can use the spells on the fly by pressing X, and you can also use the characters in your party. So if you're fighting with 3 people, you can press X even on your character, and you can swap between the characters to see what spells they've got available to use. So it's an intuitive system, don't get me wrong. That's pretty easy to learn. However, it's very, very deceptive. The reason why I say that is on normal mode, the difficulty is misleading because the combat system mimics a Devil May Cry hack and slash style, but it relies on you learning each of your character's moves so you can tactically navigate each battle. If you don't do that, you will get smashed. There are 2 no ways about it. The bosses will, in fact, most of the enemies will literally smash you into next week. You have to learn tactics. You have to get used to the spells, what spell to use when. You have to make sure that your line of sight is clear before you use it. If you're using one that takes a few seconds to build up, you need to know where is your line of sight going to be clear for the whole time. And that's what I mean by deceptive. Although it looks like a hack and slash, it by no ways isn't. But that's on normal mode or higher. Stick it on easy and story mode, Jesus wet. It is stupidly easy. I mean, you could play the game with the eyes shut. You could actually go mid-battle, go make a cup of tea, come back, you'll still be alive. The difficulty curve drops dramatically the second you put it on easy or story, and your characters basically become like gods. My only gripe in the whole combat system is there's no jump. There's a shitload of flying enemies, which I guess you're supposed to knock down with your stuff to actually get to, with your spells or items or whatever to get to them. But you'd think they'd put a jump in there. The game feels odd without a jump button. The combat feels odd without a jump button, and it just feels like it's been missed. I suppose the next thing to talk about is the RPG-light elements of the game. Now, obviously when you're building up your characters, you build them up using the armor. Now that is self-explanatory. You can put things like materia, which gives you extra spells and all that sort of gubbins. That is straightforward and easy to understand. The bit I hate about the RPG is the UI interface for the weapon RPG. Now, let me give you an example. When playing God of War, the amazing version a couple of years back, when you was upgrading his axe, you could see physical differences. For instance, you put a better hilt on, you could see the hilt. You put a better axe on, you could see it in the axe. You could actually physically see the differences. In this, you can't. It puts you into this menu where it looks like some sort of floating solar system thing. I'm told that's to harken back to Final Fantasy, the original, fine, whatever, but it made no sense to me. They might as well just put a list up in the chat box. Which one do you want to tick off? You've got enough points for this, and this. They might as well have done that, because the UI for upgrading your weapon, your buster swords or whatever, is horrible. It's not nice at all, not nice to go through. Nothing really makes sense to me personally, and there was just no reason, apart from the fact that you needed to do it to be stronger and to deal with the harder enemies. There was no other reason to do it. It's not really like an RPG in the sense of how to make your character look cool. It's more like an upgrade system to deal with the stronger enemies. And I don't know, I didn't like it. It didn't work well for me. If they'd have put an RPG system in where you could adapt your sword to look cool in different ways, make it unique to yourself, I think that would have been better. A lot better. And I don't know, in the end I just found it annoying more than anything else. And sometimes I completely forgot about it and wonder why I'm getting smashed by enemies, just because I completely forgot the whole mechanic system was in there. It was put together again, and I say this a lot, and this is something that should never be in gaming ever, and I'm shocked there are elements of this in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but there are elements of a that'll do mentality, and this upgrade system, this RPG-like mechanic, is definitely a that'll do mentality system, and it's there, but you don't expect too much from it. Now I've got that bit out of my system, it's time to talk about where the game seriously faltered for me. This is where the game lost most of its polish, lost most of its points, and the reason why it's only getting a 7 out of a 10 rather than higher. The game has a lot of padding. Now I know, Final Fantasy fans, that this is only meant to be one chapter in the whole game, which is why they had to put the padding in or whatever. But personally for me, fake content does not belong in games. And what do I mean by fake content? Right, well, let's say I released a film and told you it was 90 minutes long. But at the half-hour mark, I stopped the film and took everybody for a tour of the cinema, which takes half an hour. And then brought everyone back to the seat so they could watch the last half hour of the film. Technically, the time you've been in the cinema is an hour and a half, but actually the film is only an hour long. That tour of the cinema is fake content. The gaming version of that is things like forcing me to play darts whilst waiting for your team to finish talking. I haven't bought the game to play darts. I shouldn't be stuck in a bar, not being allowed to leave until I play darts before the game carries on. It shouldn't take me 40 minutes to walk through this stupid, pointless platform where you're taking a character from point A to point B with nothing in between but just a walking across some tin pot roofs. There was so much of this padding in the game that it drove me insane. There was actually one point where I turned the game off, and when I turned it back on, I put it on story mode just so I could get through the game as quickly as possible. And the point was where and this is in main story as well, it's not a side mission or anything like that, and I'm not referring to side missions either, because they're optional. This is within the story itself. There was a point where I was literally sent to do fetch missions, and this fetch mission kept getting extended and extended and extended and extended, and it must have got extended 6 times. And during that time I've got this song on repeat constantly going over and over and over and over again, and the only change was the instruments that was playing every time I went to a different area of the city to do the fetch quest. It drove me so mad and annoyed me so much, I turned the game off and very nearly deleted it. Very nearly. Because that type of shit pisses me off to an extent you would not believe. I hate fake content. I hate being made to do something I don't want to do because there is no point to the story of me actually doing it. Like playing darts. Like doing the 40-minute walk from A to B when there was no need for it. It just, what they've done is, I get that they've chopped the game up into sections so they can sell off, different parts of the game at different times. But the straight fact is, what they've done is they've taken from what I believe is a 3-hour section in Final Fantasy VII, the original, and spread it over 50 hours, or 40 hours, or 30 hours. But to do that, they've had to add these padding parts, and that's, to me, is disingenuous. And it's where this game loses all its points for me, and my biggest gripe. I hate it. I think Square should be reprimanded for it, although they never will be, but they are being for me, because I won't stand for it, Square. I won't stand for fake padding and padding games with fake content. I won't stand for it. It's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. And if I'm the only person on TubeU that's going to actually point this out to you, then so be it. But that is bullshit. You damn well know it. Compared to that gripe, everything else is minimal. But Jesus, I had to walk away from this recording then because it riled me up, that fight. It just riled me up thinking about it. But seriously, the only other gripes are the side missions, which are optional. That's why I don't class them as fake content. Get wiped off if you progress the story, so you can't go back and do them afterwards. And the only very, very minute thing is at slow speeds, Cloud can be, or any character can be quite tricky to control. They're clearly made to be used whilst running, so when you're trying to make tiny adjustments while you stop still, it can be a little bit tricky. It's a bit fidgety, it's not quite right. But that's it for gameplay. What about fun factor? I never actually got on board the Final Fantasy hype train decades ago, and I honestly believe that this would be the moment where I hopped on that train. I just couldn't. It never took hold on me. Having said that, I had a fun time playing the game, even despite the fake content. And I never felt that my experience was hampered by not playing the original Final Fantasy VII, which is a testament to the game. Bear in mind, this is a Final Fantasy VII remake, and there is a lot of fanfare and nods to the original in the game, but I never felt that because I didn't play the original Final Fantasy VII, that I couldn't have fun playing this one. The combat is so fun. It's one of the funnest aspects of the game. And some of the side quests and dialogue of the main characters is epic. You know, granted, I know there are some woke people out there that saying it's incredibly sexist, and there are some seriously close to the bone innuendos, but it's still fun, and the game is fun to play. As far as fun factor goes, it's, you know, it pulled itself back. As for value, even though the game took me roughly 35 to 40 hours to 90% complete, because I didn't do all the side missions, I've not felt ripped off by paying full price for it. Final Fantasy VII Remake is an experience to be had for newbies and fans alike. There are a lot of technical achievements in this game which you will probably not experience anywhere else on the PS4. You could wait for a sale, which would guarantee you pick up a bargain, but in my opinion, given the package as a whole, Final Fantasy VII Remake is certainly worth its asking price, 100%, even if it's a 7 out of 10. So there you go, folks. There is my Final Fantasy VII Remake review. What did you think about it? Have you played Final Fantasy VII Remake? What's your thoughts on the game? Get in the comment section and let me know. Whilst you're there, don't forget to let me know how you think about the new review format. I personally think this is a better way of doing it. I especially like the idea of giving the verdict right up front. Gives you a chance to say, do you want to stick around or not? And then obviously splitting it into almost an ACG style of doing things, but with my MVP flair. You know what I mean? If you have enjoyed the video and you want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button. It's really important that you tell me if you like or don't like the video. So thumbs up or thumbs down. And if you do thumb up it, press the subscribe and the notification bell while you're at it. Listen, seriously, just before I go, I want to say a massive thank you to all my supporters. You're all amazing. You're all MVPs. We're nearly at 700. The quest to 1,000 this year is looking more and more likely as we carry on. We're only in May. So with that being said, until next time, so from me, Mr. B, ta-ta for now.